आसन अपना लगाओ, प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ, प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ, प्रभु राम कृष्ण तुम आओ, प्रभु राम कृष्ण तुम आओ। देह के इस देवालय में, देह के इस देवालय में आसन अपना लगाओ, प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ, प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ। अद्भुत साधक शक्ति उपासक सर्ववेद गत आओ, मुक्ति प्रदायक भव भय हारक राम कृष्ण प्रभु आओ। अद्भुत साधक शक्ति उपासक सर्ववेद गत आओ, मुक्ति प्रदायक भव भय हारक राम कृष्ण प्रभु आओ। देह के इस देवालय में, देह के इस देवालय में आसन अपना लगाओ, प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ, प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ, प्रभु राम कृष्ण तुम आओ, प्रभु राम कृष्ण तुम आओ। देह के इस देवालय में, देह के इस देवालय में आसन अपना लगाओ, प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ, प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ। त्रिभुवन व्यापक ब्रह्म समागत कल्प नियामक आओ, भक्तराज प्रभु नर रूप धारक राम कृष्ण तुम आओ। त्रिभुवन व्यापक ब्रह्म समागत कल्प नियामक आओ, भक्तराज प्रभु नर रूप धारक राम कृष्ण तुम आओ। देह के इस देवालय में, देह के इस देवालय में आसन अपना लगाओ, प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ, प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ, प्रभु राम कृष्ण तुम आओ, प्रभु राम कृष्ण तुम आओ। देह के इस देवालय में, देह के इस देवालय में आसन अपना लगाओ, प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ, प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ, प्रभु राम कृष्ण तुम आओ, प्रभु राम कृष्ण तुम आओ। देह के इस देवालय में, देह के इस देवालय में आसन अपना लगाओ, प्रभु आओ, प्रभु आओ, प्रभु आओ, प्रभु आओ।
Namasri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Sajjit Sukha Surupaya Swamine Tapaharini. You know the topic for today? Only God. You know, in India we have different philosophies. Vedanta is broadly the combination of the three philosophies, Advaita, Vishishtadvaita and Dvaita. In Advaita itself there are many schools. There is this Kevala Advaita, where, according to Kevala Advaitins, God alone is only consciousness, only God. There is nothing other than God. For them, there is nothing other than consciousness. There is no Maya, there is nothing like creation. There is only consciousness. But that is the highest. Then they have diluted Advaita a little, because it is difficult for us to grasp. When everything is God, everywhere God, but I don't feel Him, I don't experience that consciousness. So we all feel we are separate from God. Somehow, when there are two things actually, experience, process of experiencing, and the object being experienced, this is called Triputi, when that is there, oh, I have to experience God. Then the pure Kevala Advaitins say that, not that you have to experience God, you are God, that's alone. So, Kevala Advaita, of course, is very difficult. Only when you are in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, then you understand. It's not something to be explained. It is just an experience. You are be, that's all. Consciousness. Be. You are in yourself. So, So it's difficult because once you come into the relative world, Vyavaharika Jagat, you have to explain things and people seek explanations. So then they have diluted that highest Advaita and then brought this Mayavada. So everything is consciousness, but because of Maya, because of ignorance, because of superimposition, and you see the world as something different from consciousness. It's only an appearance, it's only a projection. It is not that something consciousness has created it. Consciousness has not created it. You see it because of ignorance. It's an erroneous perception because of Maya, because of superimposition. They give the classic example, this Rajju Sarpa Bhranti. Rajju Sarpa Bhranti. In darkness, in night, you will see, if there is a rope there, but the rope doesn't harm us. If it is a snake, it's likely to harm us. So the self-preservation instinct is so strong in human beings. Though it's a rope, the first thought is not that it is rope. The first thought will always be it could be a snake. Right? First thought would be it could be a snake. Let me be alert kind of thing. But it's a rope only. But because of darkness, you see it as snake. In truth, there is only rope, but you projected a snake on it. Perception, erroneous perception happened here. So in the same way, there is only consciousness, but you projected duality, you projected differentiation, you projected name and form, and you want to perceive it like that. Problem is with you, not that actually there has some real creation happened there out. So that also is difficult for us to grasp, that this is superimposition, this is only an appearance, this is only a projection, this is only an erroneous perception. So we are so deeply involved with the world. We don't think that this concrete world is an erroneous perception. This world of the five senses could be unreal, but it is so real, so tangible for us. The truth is so intangible. So we have become completely Dvaitins. So Advaita is only an idea, sometimes for our intellectual satisfaction. We debate and discuss. We are nowhere even that. That is a projection, it's a superimposition. It's an erroneous perception. We don't understand that. Then, good. We are now Dvaitins. We have come into Dvaita. When you have come into Dvaita, then the question, who did the world? Who has created the world? Yes, God has done it. Now what you have to know, what you have to do? Now what is the connection with God? How I am related to God? How I can connect with God? You have to proceed from this now. There is no option. In the sense, we have come down from that Advaita. So we believe that this world is real, this physical body is real, this physical body is our existence, and this psychological body, namely the mind, is our existence. As we have come down to this state of Dvaita, now the question arises, then who is the creator of this universe? Kevala Advaita, Mayavada, then Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, Dvaita. Vishishtadvaita means we are part, amsas, in the sense that we are vibhutis of that ultimate divinity. The whole universe is an expression of the ultimate divinity. So even to see it as an expression of the ultimate divinity also we find it difficult. That's why the Upanishads ask, Isha Vashyamidam Sarvam. Superimpose God on everything you see. Okay, you see this manifested universe. You see the world of name and form, but don't see it as a name and form, but see it as an expression of God. Cover it with God and see. Wrap it with God and see. In fact, it is God only. Wrap it with God and see. Then slowly what happens? Because you are constantly superimposing God on everything you see, slowly the duality, the differentiation, that you perceive will go away. Then when the mind learns to see everything as expression of the one divine, because the mind is made up of dandvas, pairs of opposites, once it learns to see everything as the same consciousness, it will transcend the duality. Once there are no pairs of opposites in the mind will get dissolved. It acquires the state of same-sightedness. So because it has gone beyond pairs of opposite, it gets dissolved. It loses its existence. It loses its form. When the mind thus loses its form, you remain as consciousness. then you have become God. Then you are one with God. You and God are not separate. So that again is a state. We are aspiring for it now. We have lost our paradise. We have fallen from Eden. So we have to regain our paradise. We have lost our paradise, we have to go. One shard of that Eden is in every one of us. That spark of divinity which Swamiji talks about. One shard of that Eden is in every one of us. That paradise is in every one of us. So that spark of the infinite consciousness is in every one of us. That spark actually is seeking the infinite again. It's natural, right? But now it feels, it doesn't belong to this place. Soul doesn't belong to this place. It's a wanderer actually. Maybe the body belongs to this place, but not the soul, but not the infinite. But infinite has to go back to the infinite. Maybe body belongs to the world of name and form, world of duality, but not the soul. That is actually the longing of every human being. In spite of yourself, because there is that infinite dimension in you, it is seeking to become the infinite. That's why every human being wants something more and more. But the problem with the world is, because you have not figured it out, you seek it in finite things. That's why this competition, this struggle, this pushing, this jostling, this corruption, all these things that we see, the psychic distortions, they happen because of this. So we have not figured this out. The next step in evolution. See, human beings actually, this spiritual seeking is an evolutionary imperative. The spiritual seeking is an evolutionary imperative. Since the vast majority of people have not figured this out, the next step in evolution. So they are seeking the infinite at the finite. The infinite you are seeking through the finite. Then what happens? Then actually, I want everything for myself, I want everything for myself. You don't need it. Eh? You can't use all the things that you accumulate. But still we go for it because we don't know what else to do. So we need to figure out the next step in evolution. Darwin has brought us up to here, the human being. From here, what next? The next step is to become a complete human being, a perfect human being, a fully evolved human being. How it will happen? Through intellectual and spiritual evolution. So once the basic necessities of life are satisfied, today basic necessities everybody has to define it for oneself, that's all. Okay? What are my basic necessities? What are your basic necessities? But we know that when we use the word basic necessities, roti, kapda, makan, food, clothing and shelter. So then what kind of shelter you want, what kind of conveyance you want, and how much you will be satisfied with it. So you can live in a small hut or you can have a palace. That you have to decide for yourself. No, I want a palace. Then sometimes you may have to work a whole life, to get that palace. So then there is no scope for you to grow intellectually and spiritually because all your time and energy you have invested only in one direction, a material plane. You never thought of actually growing intellectually or never thought of growing spiritually. So that's why in our culture, all our sages actually have said that body has certain requirements, fulfill those requirements to the minimum extent possible, and afterwards you can seek the truth because this is a precious instrument and it has certain lifespan, certain time period. Afterwards it will disappear. And also if you just look at our lives, so that's between 20 and 40, the energies that we have in our body and mind, and after 50 we will not have, right? So it's a very brief existence in that way. 15, 20 years only you have, strong body and strong mind. So that period actually, if you don't use it for spiritual sadhana and if you use only for material pursuits, and afterwards you will regret. So this understanding that the spiritual seeking is an evolutionary imperative, if everybody will have, let us say, if everybody understands this, then the person, individual, will go for intellectual and spiritual evolution because that only brings fulfillment. Even intellectual evolution is also not sufficient, but that is actually must precede the spiritual evolution. No, I don't have to grow intellectually. Directly I will pursue the spirit. No, it's not possible. So without understanding what is the spiritual evolution, what is actually the ultimate destination, how you will be able to engage in sadhana. If somebody, when I said that intellectual evolution, not I'm going to a college and getting a PhD degree from a university, so now I have a PhD degree, I'm an intellectually evolved individual. Not in that sense. Intellectually evolved individuals mean an individual who has figured out the purpose of life, the goal of life, or the objective of life. And he has clarity on life, And so, because you have this clarity, you may not be actually a graduate or postgraduate, you may not have a university degree, but you have figured it out, and then you engage yourself in sadhana and long for the spiritual evolution. So that actually brings you the real fulfillment and nothing else. If you just see our world, because we have not figured out this, we have short-sighted goals. I mean, objectives like, let me be a little better than my neighbor, kind of stuff. So our idea of success, you just see today, if you actually become a little better than neighbor, you have become successful in life. Society may recognize that success and society may call it that you have become a successful individual. But do we feel fulfilled from within? Do we feel that satisfaction? Do you experience this peace from within? If you just analyze your own being, you find that some dissatisfaction is gnawing your heart somewhere. Some dissatisfaction is, some kind of dissatisfaction every individual has. The super rich man, the billionaires and trillionaires, they all have it. Because unless and until we find the mystery of death, unless our connection with God actually is established, unless actually we understand the purpose of existence, unless these questions are answered, some kind of dissatisfaction will definitely ignite our heart. So now we just see in this world today, there is so much of existential issues like meaninglessness, alienation, despair, actually tormenting so many people. The sense of not belonging to this world is there. So not of this world in the sense, if you just look at the world, we are not at home, with this world, right? Why this feeling of not at home is coming? If something else is there that we need to achieve, that we need to gain. Because of that, nobody is fully satisfied, nobody is fully contented. Cannot be, because the infinite is seeking to become the infinite. Do we make any endeavor? Do we make an attempt? Are you struggling in the direction consciously? You are not struggling consciously. That's why nature is nudging at you. Because sometimes the nudges are not sufficient. Nature pushes you, gives you a hard blow. And people consider it as a tragedy and wish up. And again the same problem. Again the same problem, because the gentle nudge is not sufficient to make us turn towards actually truth-seeking. Nature, what it does, because we have the possibility, we all have come here with the possibility of knowing the truth and knowing God, but we are not investing any time and energy in this direction. What nature does is, because you are wasting the nature's energies, because it took millions and millions of years for nature actually to evolve a small, tiny, single cell into this complex life system. And this complex life system has the cerebral capacity to perceive the truth, to know the ultimate reality. But if you don't make use of such a sophisticated machine, such a superfine gadget, if you want to use that word, okay, such a great life that God has given you, for that purpose, and invest all your time and energy only for material pursuits, you are wasting nature's energy. It took a lot of time for nature. A lot of labor actually has been invested there. And that's why nature nudges us at us. Sometimes gives a hard blows. That's what actually the suffering in the world is. But do we understand that suffering? No. The suffering also we don't understand. Again the same problem. We look around. The problem is we look around. The rest of the society, oh, only in my life this suffering has come. I'm an unfortunate guy. The people who are around me are more fortunate. If you think constantly like that, what happens? Depression will set in. What else will happen? Others are doing well. Others are not as unfortunate as I am. These are the conclusions that we draw. Whereas nature is telling you, okay, let them be with that little things, but you try to seek the infinite. So you aim for something higher. You change your aspiration. That's what the message that's coming from the nature. The hard blow means, the bitterest suffering means, nature is telling us a hard way. That you turn, at least you turn. It's God's grace actually, in fact. God's grace, most of the times we consider it as a misfortune. There is a problem. There are all blessings in disguise, but we think it curses. And then man condemns himself. He or she condemns himself or herself. And then they naturally lose in life. So in the Upanishads, in the Mundaka Upanishad, there is a beautiful mantra. There are two birds on the self-same tree. Dva suparna sayuja sakaya. Samanam vruksham parishasva jate. Tayoranyah pippalaha swadvati. Anashnan anyo abhichaka shiti. Dva suparna sayuja sakaya. Two birds of same nature are sitting on the same tree, are known by the same name. And one bird is eating the fruits of the tree. Some are bitter, some are sweet. The other bird actually sitting a little above, perched a little above than the first bird, is just not eating anything. So they are both are known by the same name. Same name, I. When you say that I, individuality, there is a limited little individuality and cosmic individuality. Okay? Little limited self and the cosmic self. When person like Krishna uses I, okay, mattah parataram nanyat kinchit tananjaya, mai sarvamidam protam. So whenever he uses aham, actually, aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam prabhavati. When he says aham, that is actually cosmic I. The Lord actually is saying about that, the universal identification. When we say I, what comes to us, what strikes us, this physical body and this psychological body. This is a limited I. This is a small bird. That cosmic individuality is the bigger bird. So this small bird actually has to go and become united with the higher bird. That's why actually the Upanishad says, known by the same name. So whenever this bird eats the bitter fruit, it looks around and it sees some other birds actually eating the bitter fruits and sweet fruits. And this bird feels that other birds are only eating the sweet fruits. They are only getting the sweet fruits and it is only getting the bitter fruits from the tree. But this tree has same number of bitter and sweet fruits and every bird has to eat both equal number of sweet and bitter fruits. But instead of looking up and instead of looking at the bird perched above, it looks around. That's what our society is today. Okay? Whenever you happen to eat a bitter fruit from life, that means a little unhappiness has happened, some kind of suffering has happened. You ought to look at this. Who am I? Suffering exists only when there is sufferer. Who is suffering and I am suffering? Who are you? What is that I? Do we ever investigate? No. Suffering exists only when there is sufferer. The sufferer is illusionary, according to Advaita, according to a philosophy. This I is illusionary. This lower I is illusionary. It's not real. Only cosmic I is real. This lower bird is only a superimposition. It's illusion. So what the lower bird should be doing is, whenever it happens to eat a bitter fruit, it should look up at the higher bird. The higher bird is established in itself. It is neither eating the bitter fruit and not eating the sweet fruit. It is just, so in its own majesty, it's established in calm, tranquil, peaceful, established in its own glory. It doesn't need anything from outside to make itself happy. It has overcome that slavery. But this small lower bird is unable to control its temptation to eat the fruits. They're little, sometimes bitter, sometimes sweet. So, after some time, he started looking up and slowly, how come that this bird doesn't eat anything and yet, it is so peaceful and tranquil. And slowly, it started coming near the upper bird. Slowly started coming and coming. And then Genesis came and just merged into its own, basically, its own higher self. Its own higher self. It's not actually there is a separate bird out there. But it's only its higher self. All the time, actually, it is I alone, actually, instead of sitting like this in my own glory, in my own majesty. I have lowered myself. So I thought, actually, I need to enjoy the things of the world to make myself happy. But you don't have to. Because you are complete and perfect in your own self. So this physical body is just flesh, actually. So it has certain needs and requirements. But our real personality is that love. So we need to become, actually, the soul by nature is love. It is actually constituted of love. And we need to discover that our true glory. Once you are established in that, you don't need this world at all because you understand that this is all Maya, it's all superimposition. And there is a Christian mystic, actually, Catherine of Genoa. She said that, my me is God nor do I know my selfhood except in God. That means she has experienced the higher self. So when such people, when they say I, when they say me, it me actually is not the me centered in the body, but that me actually is that me which is centered in God, which is centered in consciousness. So once we experience our own soul, then we experience the whole universe as it is. So the soul actually, because it's made up of love, because it's made up of that infinite, because beyond time and space, again it wants to become time and space, go beyond the time and space. But this body and mind, these are the adjuncts, they are the upadhis, they are actually limiting the soul from expanding into its infinitehood. So there is that Iron Maiden contraption, it's only a fiction, not that really there was that contraption. So it's like a iron case, with a spiked interior and a hinged door. So that when you put it on, actually, it is because inside spikes are there, it's very painful. And once you put it on, it is very difficult to remove it. The same has happened with all of us also. Now, actually, through karma, we have brought this body and mind, and now we are not able to undo it. We are not able to detach ourselves from these two. It's like that iron contraption, it's holding us, back from our real nature. So, to come out of this sense slavery, to come out of this clutches of this physicality and the clutches of the mind is the goal. You just have to detach that. You don't have to identify, that's all. And that is the struggle. That's what yoga is all about. Yoga is just union, merger. Merger into what? This little limited individual self has to merge with that universal self. So the little individuality has to go. Then you will expand into the cosmic individuality and universal individuality. You have to dissolve this little individuality. And that is actually fear. We fear that. I am actually here. This body is mine and I am this, all these things, the possessions. If that is dissolved, my identity will go, my existence will go. No, not at all. Why do we feel like that? Because of the mind. Because mind is, kind of ghost. It doesn't want to die. But you have to ask it, you have to dissolve it. The problem is it is so conditioned now into thinking of name and form. Because birth after birth, this conditioning happened, not in one birth. So many previous births actually, through a whole lot of series of births, we are experiencing this physical world, and this fictitious individuality got concretized, as it were. It has become almost like a solid entity, but it's not real. As Sri Ramakrishna would give the example of that onions, you keep on peeling, layer after layer comes, and afterwards nothing else remains. So in the same way, this fictitious individuality now actually is encrusted with so many things. My properties, my education, my assets, like my bank balance, also mine. Around mine, so many things are attached now. The incrustations. You need to scrape off all those incrustations one by one. Not mine, not mine, not mine. And finally comes the body. No, this body is also not mine. I am not this. And then remove the mind also, not mine. The mind also, I don't want to identify, it's not mine. Then you get established in your true nature. You see, we are trying to own something which doesn't belong to us. In that way, we are kind of, we are stealing things from God. This universe, let us forget about Advaita for some time. It's only consciousness, there's nothing else, no Maya, no physical world, no universe actually, it does exist. Now let us come to duality a little. So even if it is a created thing, a created entity, the universe is made up of what? 5 elements, right? Panchabhutasik. So the universe is made up of 5 elements. Our physical body is also made up of 5 elements. Then what the mind is made up of? It's made up of 3 gunas, tamas, rajas and sattva. Who created the 5 elements? We have not created. The Creator has created it. Who created the 3 gunas, tamas, rajas and sattva? We have not created. They have come from, as evolved from consciousness. God, actually, the Supreme Truth. So everything that we see in this universe, including our own physical body and the mind, belong to that one entity called consciousness or God. Then what is this I? It's surely a fiction, right? From where does it spring from? This is a fictitious entity. It's totally a fictitious reality. When everything belongs to God and everything belongs to consciousness, something which belongs to God you try to own, you try to appropriate to yourself, and then actually think, I am suffering. Because this I is totally fictitious. It's not there. You just investigate, it will disappear. But the only problem is, all the time we say, I suffer, without ever questioning what is this I. You're always free to investigate into your real nature. We should be doing as educated people, as learned people, as intelligent people, as wise people. But we don't bother to investigate into our own real nature. Fear comes. No, then I have to forego all my attachments to my people. I have to forego all my attachments to my properties. You are not coming forward to let go of the fictitious individuality. Who else can help in the world? That's why Swamiji says beautifully in that song of the Sannyasin, thine alone is the hand that drags thee on. Let go thy hold. Don't think actually somebody else has entangled, somebody else has put you in bondage. Not God has put you in bondage. You yourself have put yourself in this bondage. You're always free to liberate yourself. You're always free to investigate into your own real nature. You're always free to let go of this limited, fictitious individuality and get established in God. And why don't we do that? That means we have not had sufficient number of blows. That's all. We're waiting for more blows. So blow after blow, life after life, you seek for perfection through the physical and the psychological. You'll never get it. Because it's not there. Only infinite can be satisfied by the infinite and by nothing else and nothing else and nothing else. So we have to go back to our real nature. We have to retrace our steps back. So suffering in this way is optional. So God is not to be blamed for whatever may be your karma. Maybe you have the baddest, I mean in the sense that worst kind of karma. Maybe, all that is in store for you to suffer. But still, you always have the choice. You always have the choice to drop the individuality, and with that all karma gets dropped, right? Sri Ramakrishna used to say, maybe so much of sin, maybe it's like a huge mound of cotton, but one spark of fire is sufficient. Take divine name actually, it will burn all the impurities, burn all this limited individuality, this so-called fictitious individuality, and liberates you. So saying that, my karma is so bad, that's why more suffering is coming to me, though you don't have to put the blame even on your own karma. You are actually free to liberate yourself in this birth itself and now itself. That option, that choice, that freedom God has given us always. So that no blame attaches to God for any kind of suffering that we undergo here in this world. Nobody. If you want to put the blame on karma, you put it. But you're always free to let go that karma. Okay? Only when this I is there, the suffering happens. Whatever may be the karma that you have accumulated from past lives, you just drop the I, and then liberation happens. So, suffering is optional. No, I want to suffer. Your choice. The sages say, be wise. Suffering is not mandatory. Suffering is not compulsory. Had God made it compulsory and mandatory, then you can put blame on Him, as a cruel God. But He has not made it compulsory. He has given you the option to go out of it, to come out of it. Just a little investigation into our own real nature. Who is the sufferer? I am the sufferer. Who am I? Am I the physical body? No. What is the proof? Now you say that I am my body. You are separate and your body is separate. Am I the mind? No. Because you say my mind, you are separate and mind is separate. Right? You have them actually. They are your adjuncts. They are your upadhis. You possess them, but you are not these two. What am I then? You investigate? No. Fear. Fear. To go into our own self. To look into our own self. Because you have to face your mind. That's all. That is the fear. The mind is a kind of ghost. It doesn't allow you to do that easily. That's the problem. Then the spirituality, sadhana, okay? Reading of scriptures, purification, all these things. Mind is not cooperating. We just see the people, going to pilgrimage places in recent days. Anyway, any pilgrimage place in the country, practically stampede kind of situation prevails in most of the places. 2 days holiday if they get, actually, they can't stay with themselves. They have to run about and go here and there. I'm not saying that you should not go to pilgrimage places, but see the restlessness. That means the individual is not able to face his own self. He is afraid of himself. So that meaninglessness, this kind of loneliness, alienation, all these things, torment you. So you don't want to bear, you don't want to look into yourself. And that's why you want to run about here and there, hither and thither. No, you just look into your own self. At least just read a scripture. Slowly, little seed of vairagya will be kindled in your mind. Read books like Yoga Vasishta. This kind itself is wonderful sadhana. Read books like Bhagavatam. Yes, there's a higher kind of sadhana, instead of roaming about. There you go, and then there you fret and fume. Because there you need comforts, accommodation, other things won't be available, such a huge crowd, and you curse the authorities, you curse the management. What is the problem? You have gone there for some peace of mind, and actually you lose that peace of mind. Why all this? Why all this in this land of yoga? Our forefathers are all rishis and sages, such great contemplators, that they would get blissed out in themselves completely. So this is always free to choose. But you need to understand the majority is not right. It can never be. Majority cannot become Buddhas, majority cannot become Ramakrishna Paramahamsas. Why do you look for majority to certify you, and why do you follow them and imitate them? You choose for yourself. You be a wise man. So, to face ourselves, to face our own mind, is the difficulty, if you look at it. I can't sit with myself. I can't look into myself. I can't investigate into my real nature. This is the problem. This is the problem. That problem is coming from, you need to understand, the mind. The moment you turn inward, mind becomes agitated. Why? Because self-preservation instinct, right? Every one of us has, every creature in this world has that self-preservation instinct, right? It wants to preserve itself. Similarly, mind has also the self-preservation instinct. And this guy, wants to investigate into my real nature, so he will understand my mischief, and then I will have to leave him, Because it's a fictitious after all. And that's why it will try to frighten you. In all the possible ways. In all the possible ways. Sometimes people go crazy also. That much it does. Because this mind is not a simple entity in that way, but you should hold on. You are a fictitious entity, I have understood. I am not going to leave you. You have to yield. You have to show me the result. You have to show me your true nature, and you have to go back to your source. That is the divine. That my nature is divine, and I want to become divine again. Oh mind, don't cheat me, don't deceive me any further. I know you are treacherous by nature. So once you, again and again, it will try to frighten you. It will try to torment you. But you hold on, and afterwards it comes to the conclusion, this guy is not going to leave me. It has understood my real nature. That's the point. After a long struggle, it yields and it gives up. It doesn't try to cheat you anymore. It doesn't try to frighten you anymore. And it simply disappears. The ghost disappears. The Sukshma Sarira, the Linga Sarira disappears. And once that disappears, no rebirth thereafter. Jivatman, the individual soul, has become one with the Paramatman. That is actually Kaivalya. That's Nirvana. No rebirth. No Punarjanma thereafter. Yesterday we were talking about that Arjuna. You just see, because of this, why there is suffering. The suffering is because of differentiation, Dvaita Bhranti, they say. Dvaita is Bhranti. When you see two things in this world, Bhranti, you are in Bhranti, you are in delusion. There are nothing two, it's only one and one and one only. There are no two. Because now I have deeply identified with my physical body, and you appear as a separate physical body. You are a separate entity, I am a separate entity. I have my own mind, my thoughts, my judgments, my beliefs, my convictions, and your beliefs and convictions and judgments are different, and you are a separate entity, I am a separate entity. But this difference is only at the level of the fictitious and unreal. Physical body is unreal, psychological body is unreal. The reality is the self or consciousness behind, which is animating these two. So, to drop that dual consciousness, this differentiation, what you need to do is, that is actually because of this Linga Sarira, because of this Prakriti. Prakriti is made up of gunas, and this Linga Sarira, which is nothing but Prakriti, is made up of gunas. So, when you investigate into your real nature, this Prakriti, this mind which is made up of this limited individuality or desire, when that is dropped, the Linga Sarira is dropped. When Linga Sarira born of gunas, tamas, rajas and sattva is dropped, it's okay, your identity with the physicality also will be dropped. Once this is done, you get established in your own glory, that is consciousness, the infinite. What is that? It can never be explained in words. Nobody has ever succeeded, nobody will ever succeed in future also. Because it is avang manasa gochara. Words, they don't go there. Thought cannot go there. Impossible. Na chakshur gacchati, na vag gacchati, na mano gacchati. These entities, all this mind, they are based on that. Based on that consciousness. They can't understand consciousness, they can't reveal consciousness to you, they can't explain consciousness to you. By no means. And people want to understand God. They question, no, you can never understand God, but you can become God. You can never understand God. No, I will do my sadhana only after understanding God. It will never happen. You will never understand God. If you use your intellect, intellect will fail you. If you just look at our world, there are atheists. Who are atheists actually? God denying God. Okay? This is only God exists in this world. Nothing else exists. Atheists are people, God denying God. Who are theists actually? The people actually, God alone actually, accepting God. But again, actually, you need to understand a good number of atheists are, though they don't talk about God, they are very honest and moral. There are a good number of theists actually who are not that moral, who are hypocrites. So this is always there. So for whom actually God is very close, we do not know. So that's in that way, an atheist is not a real atheist, and today's atheist could be tomorrow's real theist, and a real theist, so-called theist, actually may not be real theist. So this is always there. So it doesn't matter whether you're an atheist or theist, you just be a seeker. You just try to know the truth, investigate into your own real nature. Who am I? Have this question. What is my real nature? Am I the physical body? Am I the psychological body? Or is this higher existence possible to me? So because the suffering actually is not compulsory, God has always actually kept this door open. That my child, you are always free to investigate into your real nature and seek me. And as we have discussed here many times, God has given us the option. When you want, because we are in dual consciousness. I'm talking about duality. I'm not talking about Dvaita, right? I'm talking about only Dvaita today, completely Dvaita, because we are all Dvaitins only. Because we know that actually we are separate from God. We don't experience God, feel God. Well, we have traveled a long distance away from the truth. In this Kali Yuga, it's all the more. We means only the physical body and nothing else comes to us, nothing else strikes us. So how to go back to God, how to go back to our real nature, how to become one with Him. And because God has given us this option, you can choose, but He has put only one condition, that if you want my world of name and form, you will not see me, you will not experience me. If you want me, actually, either you superimpose me on the world that you see, that you learn to see everything as my manifestation, my vibhuti, my expression, or you just have to forego it completely, and you must consider it as Maya and dismiss it, including your body and mind. So dismissing nature means this is also made up of 5 elements. This is nature, Prakriti. Mind is made up of 3 gunas, again Prakriti. So this Prakriti and Purusha, they are in close proximity to each other. But if you want to experience Purusha as Purusha, Purusha is only the unlimited. Purusha alone is the real source of power. Purusha alone actually is the infinite. Prakriti is part of the Purusha. So as long as you Prakriti, definitely you will get, you'll have the pairs of opposites. Sometimes you suffer, sometimes you'll have a little happiness and little joy. As Swamiji would say, why people don't investigate into their own real nature? What prevents them? This little happiness. The world promises this little happiness, but according to Swamiji, that is only to delude us, to deceive us. That is Maya. Had it not been for this few dashes of goodness, this little few dashes of goodness and little pleasure or happiness that you get it, that actually makes us stick to this world, get hooked to this world. That's the kind of bait actually the Creator has put it. That's what the Maya is. So when we understand, come to the conclusion that true happiness is not there, the world is not designed for true happiness in that way, the mind, as long as we have the psychological entity, whatever may be your attainments from this world, you cannot be always in a high state of peace and joy. A little peace and little joy, and again it will go away, and again it will come, again it will go away, again it will come. But continuously in a state of joy, continuously in the highest state of peace, you can never exist as long as there is mind. Only the mind has to be dropped. So in the sense that ihaiva tairjita sargo yesham samye sthitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma. There is one definition from Brahman is samam, that sameness actually. It's unsullied and pure Brahman. So when you attain to that kind of equanimity, the mind disappears. Because mind and equanimity cannot go together. Because mind is polarities. Mind is opposites. It has to, be like a wave. Sometimes crest, sometimes trough. Sometimes crest, sometimes trough. There is no way. There is no other way. So when you acquire, that kind of same-sightedness, equanimity, and complete tranquility, that means mind is dissolved, mind is practically has gone, it has disappeared. Even it appears after attaining to that state, as Sri Ramakrishna would say, there is only a semblance of mind, it's not real mind, like a burnt rope. It has only the form, you touch it, it becomes powder. So that's why we have to touch Brahman, we have to touch consciousness first, and afterwards, if you want, you can keep it in mind, but that doesn't bind you anymore. It has lost its strength to bind you, it has lost its strength to cheat you. It can't play with you, it can't deceive you anymore. You have transcended Prakriti once for all. Even if you do it once, it will never bind you. This Prakriti, just go beyond it. Somehow, use all your energies, intellect, in that direction only. That's what our scriptures say. Everything else is vanity. Swami says, vanity of vanities, everything else is vanity. God alone lives, truth alone lives. Everything is vanity and vexation of spirit, Swami says. You are trying for peace and happiness from this world, but you are never tired, never bored. How come? It's a vexation of spirit, he says. That means you are not actually leading a conscious life. I am expecting peace from this world. I am longing for joy. I am actually expecting joy from this world, from the works that I perform. But I am not getting what I expect. Why? You must investigate. You must find out why. And if you investigate, you will understand that it is not there. The world is not designed for our eternal peace and happiness. The world is Prakriti. We need to transcend Prakriti. That Prakriti is mind. And how to go beyond the mind? Yoga. Yoga is all about that. Whether Karma Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga, or Jnana Yoga, or Raja Yoga. That helps you to become one with the source of your being. The source of our being is Ananda, the joy. Mr. Eckhart, I think a 14th century mystic from Germany, he said that the joys that we experience actually, human being doesn't have to experience joy, he is joy himself. When you experience joy, you're talking about two, Joy as an outside entity and you are experiencing it. But he says, but human being is joy himself. Our real nature is love itself, joy itself. That's why the definition that our people have given for consciousness is Sat Chit Ananda, existence absolute, intelligence absolute, and bliss absolute. That is the greatest definition, Very difficult to define God, but that's the highest definition that they have given us. So that is our real nature. So as the imagery shows us the analogy in the two birds is pointed out, there are two birds, but they are apparent. The second bird is only apparent. Okay? The bird perched high alone, the real self alone is real. So this apparent bird has to merge in the real bird. And how does that happen? When it has discrimination, it will happen. Viveka. So the Viveka, so when you eat these bitter fruits and sweet fruits, sweet fruit when you eat, naturally you forget because you're happy. You don't even bother to look at the upper bird. When you get the bitter fruit, happen to taste the bitter fruit, try to look for the upper bird and try to long to become one with it. Investigate into it. What is its real nature? Slowly, you will be able to withdraw yourself from the world. But don't get frightened. But it's actually to, help yourself in a true sense of the term. Because we are in every way very, 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 not people say that they are ambitious, but they are not ambitious. Very few people are really ambitious. What true ambition means? Seeking the infinite consciously, right? Trying to know God. All others are for kids. Okay, all other things that we do are for kids. You come here with such possibility. You come here with, such capacity to crack the mystery of the universe, to know the ultimate nature of this world, to know our connection, our oneness with the Supreme, the creator of this universe. Having come with that kind of possibility, if we don't invest some time and energy at least for that purpose, we're definitely wasting our lives. Millions and millions of people are wasting their lives like that, and then they're experiencing meaninglessness, boredom, alienation, all these things. They will happen. They will happen because nature is nudging at you, saying that, oh man, you have a higher possibility and higher capacity. So understand that and long for that, long for that. It's natural. That boredom, that meaninglessness is natural. It's coming because you have not become a conscious spiritual seeker. Why have not become a conscious spiritual seeker? Because you have not figured out the next step in evolution. From hereafter, what next? Intellectual and spiritual evolution. Not just accumulating material things. how much you need. You just have the minimum things and then pursue this intellectual and spiritual path. If you don't come onto it, you may have the entire world for yourself. Still, some kind of emptiness will gnaw at your heart. Okay? That you will feel that not at home, something more. This is not. Constantly the voice is saying, this is not enough. There is something higher, there is something more. So this voice is constantly telling, the infinity telling that this is not. What is that voice? Why is it telling like that? Because the infinite is longing to become the infinite. But you just want to confine yourself to the finite. I don't know, these finite things will make me feel happy. No, never. No, never. It's impossible. So to become truly fulfilled, to attain to the peace that passes all understanding, okay? Not that it is a diminishing peace. Sometimes it is there, sometimes it will go away. Not that kind of peace. So that absolute, which is personification of peace, personification of bliss, personification of real existence, that is our real nature. So we are all children of immortal bliss, amrutasya putra, in the Upanishad sages have called us. So to get that amruta, to get that ambrosia and nectar is our objective in life, is the real purpose. Sooner we embark on this great journey, the better for us. We are all in that journey, okay? Hasn't it? You know? So try to do the sadhana a little more intensity, because time is, ebbing away. You open your eyes and close your eyes, and then your life is spent. So this is a luxury, actually, highest luxury, because this human birth and the period. And you can't afford to waste this luxury. You can't afford to waste this precious gift. Every minute counts, every moment counts. Think of God, long for God, investigate into your real nature. The sooner, the better for you and also the people around. So let us stop here for today. We shall meditate for 2 minutes before we disperse.
संपद तव श्रीपद भव गोष्पद वारियथा प्रेमार्पण समादर्शन प्रेमार्पण समादर्शन जग जना दुःख जा संपद तव श्रीपद भव गोष्पद वारियथा प्रेमार्पण समदर्शन प्रेमार्पण समदर्शन जग जन दुःख जान नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्यमनातीत नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्यमनातीत मनोवचनैकाधार प्रभु मनोवचनैकाधार ज्योतिर्ज्योति उज्ज्वल हृदय कंदर ज्योतिर्ज्योति उज्ज्वल हृदय कंदर तुमितमभञ्जन प्रभु तुमितमभञ्जन नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्यमनातीत नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्यमनातीत मनोवचनैकाधार प्रभु मनोवचनैकाधार ज्योतिर्ज्योति उज्ज्वल हृदय कंदर ज्योतिर्ज्योति उज्ज्वल हृदय कंदर तुमितमभञ्जन प्रभु तुमितमभञ्जन दिदि लंग रंग भंग भाजे अंग संग मृदंग दिदि लंग रंग भंग भाजे अंग संग मृदंग गाय छे चंद भक्त वृंद आरती तोमार गाय छे चंद भक्त वृंद आरती तोमार जय जय आरती तोमार हर हर आरती तोमार शिव शिव आरती तोमार खंडन भव बंधन जगवंदन वंदित मा जय श्री गुरु महाराज जी के जय। ॐ ह्रीं ऋतं त्वमचलो गुणजेद्गुणेड्यः नक्तं दिवं सकरुणं तव पादपद्मं मोहं कर्षं बहुकृतं न भजे यतोऽहं तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीनबन्धो भक्तिर्भगश्च भजनं भवभेदकारी गच्छन्त्यलं सुविपुलं गमनाय तत्त्वं वक्त्रोद्धृतोऽपि हृदये न च भाति किञ्चित् तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीनबन्धो तेजस्तरन्ति तरसा त्वयि तृप्त तृष्णा रागे कृते ऋतपथे त्वयि रामकृष्णे मर्त्यामृतं तव पदं मरणोर्मि नाशं तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीनबन्धो कृत्यं करोति कलुषं कुहकान्तकारी शान्तं शिवं सुविमलं तव नाम नाथ यस्मादहं त्वशरणो जगदेकगम्या तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीनबन्धो ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्म स्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। सर्वमङ्गल माङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणे नमोस्तुते। सृष्टि स्थिति विनाशानां शक्ति भूते सनातनी गुणाश्रये गुणामये नारायणे नमोस्तुते। शरणागत दीनार्ता परित्राण परायणे सर्वस्यार्थे हरे देवी नारायणे नमोस्तुते। जय नारायणी नमोस्तुते। जय नारायणी नमोस्तुते। जय नारायणी नमोस्तुते। जय नारायणी नमोस्तुते। प्रकृतिं परमां अभयां वरदां नररूपधरां जनतापहरां शरणागतसेवकतोषकरीं प्रणमामि परां जननीं जगतां गुणहीनसुतां अपराधयुक्तां कृपयाद्य समुद्धर मोहगतां तरणीं भवसागरपारकरीं प्रणमामि परां जननीं जगतां विषयं कुसुमं परिहृत्य सदा चरणाम्बुरुहा प्रणतेषु च चरणाश्रयदानेन कृपामयि नमोऽस्तु ते लज्जापटावृते नित्यं शारदे ज्ञानदायिके पापेभ्यो नः सदा रक्ष कृपामयि नमोऽस्तु ते रामकृष्णगतप्राणा तन्नाम श्रवणप्रिया तद्भावरञ्जिताकारां प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः पवित्रं चरितं यस्याः पवित्रं जीवनं तथा पवित्रता स्वरूपिण्यै तस्यै कुर्मो नमो नमः देवीं प्रसन्नां प्रणतातिहन्त्रीं योगेन्द्रपूज्या युगधर्मपात्रीं तां शारदां भक्तिविज्ञानदात्रीं दयास्वरूपां प्रणमामि नित्यं स्नेहेन बध्नासि मनोस्मदीयं दोषानशेषान् सगुणीकरोषि आहेतुनानो दयसे सदोषान् स्वान्ते गृहीत्वा यदिदं विचित्रं प्रसीद मातर्विनयेन याचे नित्यं भव स्नेहवते सुतेषु प्रेमैकबिन्दुं चिरदग्धचित्ते विषिञ्च चित्तं गुरुणा सुशान्तं जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयोः श्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः
పేజ్ 5 5
ॐ
अजं निर्विकल्पं निराकारमेकम् अजं निर्विकल्पं निराकारमेकं निरानन्दमानन्दमद्वैतपूर्णं निरानन्दमानन्दमद्वैतपूर्णम् अजं निर्विकल्पं निराकारमेकम् अजं निर्विकल्पं निराकारमेकं निरानन्दमानन्दमद्वैतपूर्णं निरानन्दमानन्दमद्वैतपूर्णम् परं निर्गुणं निर्विशेषं निरीहं परं निर्गुणं निर्विशेषं निरीहं परं निर्गुणं निर्विशेषं निरीहं परं निर्गुणं निर्विशेषं निरीहं परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेम परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेम गुणातीतमानं चिदानन्दरूपं गुणातीतमानं चिदानन्दरूपं चिदाभासकं सर्वगं ज्ञानगम्यं चिदाभासकं सर्वगं ज्ञानगम्यं गुणातीतमानं चिदानन्दरूपं गुणातीतमानं चिदानन्दरूपं चिदाभासकं सर्वगं ज्ञानगम्यं चिदाभासकं सर्वगं ज्ञानगम्यं मुनिध्येयमाकाशरूपं परेशं मुनिध्येयमाकाशरूपं परेशं मुनिध्येयमाकाशरूपं परेशं मुनिध्येयमाकाशरूपं परेशं परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेम परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेम जगत्कारणं कारणज्ञानरूपं जगत्कारणं कारणज्ञानरूपं सुरादिं सुखादिं गुणेशं गणेशं जगत्कारणं कारण ज्ञानरूपं जगत्कारणं कारण ज्ञानरूपं सुरादिं सुखादिं गुणेशं गणेशं सुरादिं सुखादिं गुणेशं गणेशं जगद्व्यापिनं विश्ववन्द्यं सुरेशं जगद्व्यापिनं विश्ववन्द्यं सुरेशं जगद्व्यापिनं विश्ववन्द्यं सुरेशं जगद्व्यापिनं विश्ववन्द्यं सुरेशं परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेमा परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेमा परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेमा परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेमा। పేజ్ 2, 3 2, 3 गंगाधरा चंद्रचूड़ा शिव गंगाधरा चंद्रचूड़ा शिव गंगाधरा चंद्रचूड़ा शिव गंगाधरा चंद्रचूड़ा जगन्मंगल विश्वनीड़ा गंगाधरा चंद्रचूड़ा जगन्मंगल विश्वनीड़ा शिव शिव भव भव शरणं मम भवतु सदा तव स्मरणं शिव शिव भव भव शरणं मम भवतु सदा तव स्मरणं कैलासाचलवासा शिव कैलासाचलवासा शिव करपुरहरदरहासा कैलासाचलवासा शिव करपुरहरदरहासा शिव शिव भव भव शरणं मम भवतु सदा तव स्मरणं शिव शिव भव भव शरणं मम भवतु सदा तव स्मरणं भस्मोद्धूलितदेह शम्भो भस्मोद्धूलितदेह शम्भो परमपुरुष वृषवाहा भस्मोद्धूलितदेह शम्भो परमपुरुष वृषवाहा शिव शिव भव भव शरणं मम भवतु सदा तव स्मरणम् शिव शिव भव भव शरणम् मम भवतु सदा तव स्मरणम् पञ्चानना फणिभूषा शिव पञ्चानना फणिभूषा शिव परम पुरुष मुनिवेशा पञ्चानना फणिभूषा शिव परम पुरुष मुनिवेशा शिव शिव भव भव शरणम् मम भवतु सदा तव स्मरणम् शिव शिव भव भव शरणम् मम भवतु सदा तव स्मरणम् आनन्द नटन विलोला सच्चिदानन्द नटन विलोला सच्चिदानन्द विगलित खेला आनन्द नटन विलोला सच्चिदानन्द विगलित खेला शिव शिव भव भव शरणम् मम भवतु सदा तव स्मरणम् शिव शिव भव भव शरणम् मम भवतु सदा तव स्मरणम् नवव्याकरण स्वभाव शिव नवव्याकरण स्वभाव शिव नारायण तीर्थदेवा नवव्याकरण स्वभाव शिव नारायण तीर्थदेवा शिव शिव भव भव शरणम् मम भवतु सदा तव स्मरणम् शिव शिव भव भव शरणम् मम भवतु सदा तव स्मरणम् मम भवतु सदा तव स्मरणम् मम भवतु सदा तव स्मरणम् शङ्करा सदाशिवा चन्द्रशेखरा शङ्करा सदाशिवा चन्द्रशेखरा शङ्करा सदाशिवा चन्द्रशेखरा शङ्करा सदाशिवा चन्द्रशेखरा चन्द्रशेखरा गौरीशङ्करा चन्द्रशेखरा गौरीशङ्करा चन्द्रशेखरा गौरीशङ्करा चन्द्रशेखरा गौरीशङ्करा शङ्करा सदाशिवा चन्द्रशेखरा शङ्करा सदाशिवा चन्द्रशेखरा चन्द्रशेखरा गौरीशङ्करा चन्द्रशेखरा गौरीशङ्करा नीलकण्ठशूलधारि चन्द्रशेखरा नीलकण्ठशूलधारि चन्द्रशेखरा नीलकण्ठशूलधारि चन्द्रशेखरा नीलकण्ठशूलधारि चन्द्रशेखरा फालनेत्र त्रिपुरारि गौरीशङ्करा फालनेत्र त्रिपुरारि गौरीशङ्करा फालनेत्र त्रिपुरारि गौरीशङ्करा फालनेत्र त्रिपुरारि गौरीशङ्करा शङ्करा सदाशिवा चन्द्रशेखरा शङ्करा सदाशिवा चन्द्रशेखरा चन्द्र ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ವೇದರೂಪ ವಿಶ್ವನಾಥ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ವೇದರೂಪ ವಿಶ್ವನಾಥ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ವೇದರೂಪ ವಿಶ್ವನಾಥ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ವೇದರೂಪ ವಿಶ್ವನಾಥ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಪಾಪಹರಣ ಕಾಮದಹನ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಪಾಪಹರಣ ಕಾಮದಹನ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಪಾಪಹರಣ ಕಾಮದಹನ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಪಾಪಹರಣ ಕಾಮದಹನ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಶಂಕರ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಶಂಕರ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಶಂಕರ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಶಂಕರ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಶಂಕರ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಶಂಕರ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ನೀಲಕಂಠ ಶೂಲಧಾರಿ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ನೀಲಕಂಠ ಶೂಲಧಾರಿ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಫಾಲನೇತ್ರ ತ್ರಿಪುರಾರಿ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಫಾಲನೇತ್ರ ತ್ರಿಪುರಾರಿ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಶಂಕರ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಶಂಕರ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ವೇದರೂಪ ವಿಶ್ವನಾಥ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ವೇದರೂಪ ವಿಶ್ವನಾಥ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಪಾಪಹರಣ ಕಾಮದಹನ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಪಾಪಹರಣ ಕಾಮದಹನ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಶಂಕರ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಶಂಕರ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ
ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಗೌರಿಶಂಕರ
ಪೇಜ್ 74
ಗತಿಯೇ ಕದ ಕಾಳಿ ಮಾಯಿ ಗತಿಯೇ ಕದ ಕಾಳಿ ಮಾಯಿ ಗತಿಯೇ ಕದ ಕಾಳಿ ಮಾಯಿ ಗತಿಯೇ ಕದ ಕಾಳಿ ಮಾಯಿ మదిలో కాళీ మాయి మర్మము
మదిలో కాళీ మాయి మర్మము
తలచిన మదియే నిలచిపోవగా
మదిలో కాళీ
మాయి మర్మము తలచిన మదియే నిలచిపోవగా గతియే కద కాళీ మాయి గతియే
కాళీ
మాయి గత జీవులుగా కాలుడు చేయగా
గత జీవులుగా కాలుడు చేయగా
కాళీ నామమే కాలునే తోలును గత జీవులుగా కాలుడు చేయగా కాళీ నామము కాలునే తోలును మహాకాలుడే మాయి కాళి ఘన
మహాకాలుడే మాయి
ఘన పద పీఠంబుగ పడియుండగ భువి మహాకాలుడే మాయి కాళి ఘన పద పీఠంబుగ పడియుండగ భువి గతియే కద కాళీ మాయి గతియే కద కాళీ మాయి నల్లని రూపుల నతి భీషణ మగు నల్లని రూపుల నతి భీషణ మగు నల్లని నలుపే నాతికి వర్ణము నల్లని రూపుల నతి భీషణ మగు నల్లని నలుపే నాతికి వర్ణము ఆవర్ణమునే హృది ధ్యానించిన ఆవర్ణమునే హృది ధ్యానించిన అట వికసించెడు పద్మము వెలుగును ఆవర్ణమునే హృది ధ్యానించిన అట వికసించెడు పద్మము వెలుగును గతియే కద కాళీ మాయి గతియే కద కాళీ మాయి రూపము కాళము నామము కాళిక రూపము కాళము
నామము కాళిక
కారు చీకటి కాళిని గాంచిన రూపము కాళము నామము కాళిక కారు చీకటి కాళిని గాంచిన మహామోహ సంమోహితాత్ముడై మహామోహ సంమోహితాత్ముడై ఆనందించడు అన్య రూపమును మహామోహ సంమోహితాత్ముడై ఆనందించడు అన్య రూపమును గతియే కళకాళీ మాయి గతియే కదకాళీ మాయి విభ్రమరూపిణి ఎచ్చట నుండును
విభ్రమరూపిణి ఎచ్చట ఉండును
కన్నుల నామెనుగాంచకపోయిన
విభ్రమరూపిణి
ఎచ్చట నుండును కన్నుల నామెనుగాంచకపోయిన ఆ పేరునకే మదిలీనంబని ఆ పేరునకే మదిలీనంబని గ్రామ ప్రసాదు అనుదిగ్భ్రమచే ఆ పేరునకే మదిలీనంబని రామ ప్రసాదు అనుదిగ్భ్రమచే గతియే కదకాళీ మాయి గతియే కదకాళీ మాయి గతియే కదకాళీ మాయి దుర్గతి నాశిని కాళీ జయ జయ 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 ఆనందదాయిని కాళీ జయ జయ
దుర్గతి నాశిని కాళీ జయ జయ ఆనందదాయిని కాళీ జయ జయ
దుర్గతి నాశిని కాళీ జయ జయ ఆనందదాయిని కాళీ జయ జయ
దుర్గతి నాశిని కాళీ
జయ జయ ఆనందదాయిని కాళీ జయ జయ దుర్గతి నాశిని కాళీ జయ జయ దుర్గతి నాశిని కాళీ జయ జయ ఆనందదాయిని కాళీ జయ జయ దుర్గతి నాశిని కాళీ జయ జయ ఆనందదాయిని కాళీ జయ జయ దుర్గతి दुर्गतिनाशिनि काली जय जय
दुर्गतिनाशिनि काली जय जय
दुर्गतिनाशिनि काली जय जय
दुर्गतिनाशिनि काली जय जय
आनन्ददायिनि काली जय जय
दुर्गतिनाशिनि काली जय जय
आनन्ददायिनि काली जय जय दुर्गतिनाशिनि काली जय जय
दुर्गतिनाशिनि
काली जय जय दुर्गतिनाशिनि काली जय जय
दुर्गतिनाशिनि काली जय जय
आनन्ददायिनि काली जय जय
दुर्गतिनाशिनि काली
जय जय
आनन्ददायिनि काली जय जय
आनन्ददायिनि काली जय जय
आनन्ददायिनि काली जय जय
आनन्ददायिनि काली जय जय
आनन्ददायिनि काली जय जय
పేజ్ 125 125 रामं घनश्यामं गुणधामं रम्यनामं क्षेमं मुखसोमं रिपुभीमं चित्तकामं भजे रामं घनश्यामं गुणधामं रम्यनामं क्षेमं मुखसोमं रिपुभीमं चित्तकामं भजे वीरं मेरुधीरं सुकुमारम् आत्मसारं शूरं सर्वाधारं सद्विचारं शुभाकारं भजे रामं घनश्यामं गुणधामं रम्यनामं क्षेमं मुखसोमं रिपुभीमं चित्तकामं भजे ध्यानं चित्तलीनं स्मृतिमानं दयास्थानं ज्ञानं स्वयं भानं कामधेनुं श्रुतिमानं भजे रामं घनश्यामं गुणधामं रम्यनामं क्षेमं मुखसोमं रिपुभीमं चित्तकामं भजे वेदं वेदगीतं निजबोधं विश्वातीतं मोदं दशनादं कविनोदं मृदुपादं भजे रामं घनश्यामं गुणधामं रम्यनामं क्षेमं मुखसोमं रिपुभीमं चित्तकामं भजे श्रीशं श्रीनिवासं मन्दहासं चिद्विलासं भासं चित्तहासं अच्युतेशं भवनाशं भजे श्रीशं
श्रीनिवासं मन्दहासं चिद्विलासं भासं चित्तहासम् अच्युतेशं भवनाशं भजे रामं घनश्यामं गुणधामं रम्यनामं क्षेमं मुखसोमं रिपुभीमं चित्तकामं भजे रामम्।
పేజ్ 160 160.
दर्शन दो घनश्यामनाथ मोरी आँखिया प्यासी रे। दर्शन दो घनश्यामनाथ मोरी आँखिया प्यासी रे। दर्शन दो घनश्याम मन मंदिर की ज्योति जगा दो। 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 घट घट वासी रे। दर्शन दो घनश्यामनाथ मोरी आँखिया प्यासी रे। मंदिर मंदिर मूर्ति तेरी। मंदिर मंदिर मूर्ति तेरी। फिर भी न देखे सूरत तेरी। मंदिर मंदिर मूर्ति तेरी। फिर भी न देखे सूरत तेरी। युग बीते ना आई मिलन की। युग बीते ना आई मिलन की। पूर्णवासी रे। दर्शन दो घनश्यामनाथ मोरी आँखिया प्यासी रे। दर्शन दो घनश्याम। द्वार दया का जब तू खोले। द्वार दया का जब तू खोले। पंचम सुर में गूंगा बोले। द्वार दया का जब तू खोले। पंचम सुर में गूंगा बोले। अंधा देखे रे दर्शन दो घनश्याम नाथ मोरी अखियाँ प्यासी रे दर्शन दो घनश्याम नाथ मोरी अखियाँ प्यासी रे दर्शन दो घनश्याम पानी पीकर प्यास बुझाओ पानी पीकर
प्यास बुझाओ
नैनन को कैसे समझाऊं पानी पीकर प्यास बुझाऊं नैनन को कैसे समझाऊं आँख मिचोली छोड़ दे अब तो आँख मिचोली छोड़ दे अब तो मन के वासी रे दर्शन दो घनश्याम नाथ मोरी अखियाँ प्यासी रे दर्शन दो घनश्याम नाथ मोरी अखियाँ प्यासी रे दर्शन दो घनश्याम नाथ मोरी अखियाँ प्यासी रे
పేజ్ 283 283
ओंकार रूपिणी शारदा वंदनमम्मा शारदा आदिशक्ति विशारदा आदरिंचु ममु शारदा ओंकार रूपिणी शारदा वंदनमम्मा शारदा आदिशक्ति विशारदा आदरिंचु ममु शारदा शिवस्वरूपिणि शारदा शिष्टरक्षिणि शारदा शिवस्वरूपिणि शारदा शिष्टरक्षिणि शारदा मोक्षदायिनी शारदा मंगलदेवी शारदा मोक्षदायिनी शारदा मंगलदेवी शारदा ओंकार रूपिणी शारदा वंदनमम्मा शारदा आदिशक्ति विशारदा आदरिंचु ममु शारदा ज्ञानमुनिवे शारदा ज्ञेयमुनिवे शारदा ज्ञानमुनिवे शारदा ज्ञेयमुनिवे शारदा जगत्पावनी शारदा ज्योतिस्वरूपिणी शारदा जगत्पावनी शारदा ज्योतिस्वरूपिणी शारदा ओंकार रूपिणी शारदा वंदना శారదా ఆదిశక్తి విశారదా ఆదరించు మము శారదా ఓంకార రూపిణి శారదా వందనమమ్మా శారదా ఆదిశక్తి విశారదా ఆదరించు మము శారదా మహామాయి విశారదా మోహపరచకుము శారదా మహామాయి విశారదా
మోహపరచకుము శారదా
చల్లని తల్లి శారదా శాంతి స్వరూపిణి శారదా చల్లని తల్లి శారదా శాంతి స్వరూపిణి శారదా ఓంకార రూపిణి శారదా వందనమమ్మా శారదా ఆదిశక్తి విశారదా ఆదరించు మము శారదా ఓంకార రూపిణి శారదా వందనమమ్మా శారదా ఆదిశక్తి విశారదా
ఆదరించు
మము శారదా భక్తులమమ్మా శారదా భారమునిదే శారదా భక్తులమమ్మా శారదా భారమునిదే శారదా సర్వమునివే శారదా సన్నుతించెదము శారదా సర్వమునివే శారదా సన్నుతించెదము శారదా ఓంకార రూపిణి శారదా వందనమమ్మా శారదా ఆదిశక్తి విశారదా ఆదరించు మము శారదా ఓంకార రూపిణి శారదా వందనమమ్మా శారదా ఆదిశక్తి విశారదా ఆదరించు మము శారదా ఓంకార రూపిణి శారదా వందనమమ్మా శారదా ఆదిశక్తి విశారదా ఆదరించు మము శారదా ఓంకార రూపిణి శారదా వందనమమ్మా శారదా ఆదిశక్తి విశారదా ఆదరించు మము శారదా ఓంకార రూపిణి శారదా వందనమమ్మా శారదా ఆదిశక్తి విశారదా ఆదరించు మము శారదా ఆదిశక్తి విశారదా ఆదరించు మము శారదా ఆదిశక్తి విశారదా ఆదరించు మము శారదా
Tomorrow, 24th October, Monday, Shri Kali Puja will be celebrated in the temple. Aaratrikam will be at 6:30 p.m. Special worship and bhajans to Mother Kali will be conducted from 7 p.m. onwards. All the devotees can participate in these programs and obtain the grace of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, Mother Kali. Repu అక్టోబర్ 24వ తేదీ సోమవారం దేవాలయంలో శ్రీ కాళీ పూజ నిర్వహించబడుతుంది. 6 గంటల 30 నిమిషాలకు ఆరాత్రికము, 7 గంటల నుండి కాళీమాతకు విశేష పూజ, ప్రత్యేక భజనలు నిర్వహించబడతాయి. భక్తులు ఈ కార్యక్రమాల్లో పాల్గొని భగవాన్ శ్రీరామకృష్ణ కృపకు, కాళీమాత కృపకు పాత్రలు కావాల్సిన విజ్ఞప్తి.
जय भगवान श्री रामकृष्ण देव की
जय
जय श्री शारदा माई की
जय
जय स्वामी विवेकानंद महाराज जी की
जय